Now let's talk about sweet potatoes. Look at those bad boys right there. Now the sweet potatoes, I don't think get enough play as well. You know, it's kind of like the same idea on the catfish. Here's this thing that has so much great flavor, has a great look to it, and doesn't really get used except for when we're doing the holiday time. I'm gonna do this nice little 1/4-inch slice on this, pop it in some oil, double fry it, you know, so we get it to cook twice, so we get a really nice crust on the outside. But here we go, just run a slicer across it. Here's what I'm looking for, peeler, slicer, you know, 220, 221. Cut this off. Now here's what I'm going for. Right about here. That's what I'm looking for. And these are those shoestring, and the sweet potato does so well on this. So look at that. Look how nice that's gonna be. Nice, thin, we're gonna hit it with some malt vinegar, nice, so you're gonna get the complement between the sweetness and a little bit of the tang of the malt vinegar. Throw it into this ice bath, let it start to pull out some of that starch so it even gets crispier. Now let's get over these potatoes. I've got some oil preheated. To what temperature? Well, we fry at 350 typically, right? No, not on this. On this, we're gonna go down at about 325, 320. And the reason is I wanna cook the meat of this, cook the flesh of this sweet potato, then I'm gonna take it out and let it cool down. So now it's gonna be cooked all the way through. On this second cooking, what's gonna happen is I'm actually gonna put the crisp on it, and that's gonna give the nice crunch. So I'll go in with about a handful. Watch yourself, or watch myself. There we go. Not too much, don't wanna overload it. So I've got about and we'll see here, that can come up on you real fast, go over into the fire, catches a fire. It's always good to have a fire extinguisher hanging out right here, ready to go. Looks like we're in good shape. I'll add a few more. Now the sweet potato fries, I'm gonna make a little sprinkle, like a fry seasoning, and it's great on diners, drive-ins, and dives. I go around the country. I find the craziest things that people are using to season their fries with, and this is actually some inspiration I got on this, is putting a little bit of sugar in there, and I'm gonna do that here in just a second. Look at the great color on that, though. I think that when you're thinking about doing fries next time, the sweet potato is a nice little option to go with. Okay, my oil temperature came down again. I'm already down into the 300s, so I need to let it recover. I've got it on high. Actually, I just turned it off. I got it on high, and then I'll go in with that second fry for the first batch. Second fry, first batch, you know what I mean? Okay, fish looks good. Let's make this. Okay, paprika, not the super hot paprika, a little bit of the smoky paprika. Get that in. This could be made ahead of time also. The only idea with it is when you're using your spices and you're mixing them together, put them in another container, label them, and keep them in somewhere that's kind of cool and dark. A little granulated garlic, a little cumin, a little granulated onion, and here we go. This is the kicker right here, a little sugar, believe it or not. But it's nice, just gives that little sweet overtone there. And this goes great. I mean, look at what I put in there, you know, flavor-wise. This is gonna go so nice with these sweet potatoes, and they really do have a real nice sweetness to them. And a little black pepper. Okay. Mix this up. Now, right here, sweet potato fries. Oh, that's good. Sweet potato fries. First I cut them, soaked them in ice water, and pulled some of that starch out. And that was so when I fried them, I didn't have too much sugar in them, they didn't burn. Fried them once, let them cool down, fried them again, and check those bad boys out. Nice spice mixture with cumin and paprika and a little bit of sugar, actually. Cool. I got some potatoes in here. The red potatoes, fantastic for potato salad. Skim them out. And here's what I'm looking for. Let me show you this one. Just to make sure. People are always asking, well, I don't know. I mean, is it done? Is it done? Let's just do the fork test. How easy does the fork go in? Nice and simple. Slides right in. I'm not pushing for it. Just kind of like butter, okay? So now these are done. We'll pull them out and let them cool. I've already got that vinaigrette made for them. Okay. Let these cool down a little bit, okay? To go in them, let's move all this off to the side. To go in them, little roasted red bell pepper. Oh, tell me you don't love this. Now, sometimes I'll save my roasted red bell pepper jar. Say that 5 times fast. I'll save my jar and then make my own roasted red bell peppers and throw them back in the jars, because if you got it like when the garden's going off, perfect time to get them. Look at this. Just gorgeous. And a lot of times if you get like the really good Italian ones, or the ones from California, you'll find them and they're just awesome. I love making mashed potatoes with these as well, leaving the skin on because that skin's so thin, these little new potatoes. So we'll go in with this. Don't want to beat them up too much, so we'll throw in some roasted red bell pepper, some green onion. There we go. Right in with that. Just give it a nice, gentle stir. Spoon. Now here's a vinaigrette. Little white wine vinegar, some Dijon, works as the emulsifier, a little bit of garlic, right it on top, and just gently giving that a stir. Doesn't that look great? Look at that. These potatoes being just a little bit warm, kind of a German style. There we go. Get those roasted red bell peppers on top, a little bit of parsley here. All right, fantastic. Let me get some heat on this, and I'm gonna start some onions and some garlic that we're gonna do for Eva's potatoes. Okay, a little olive oil. And we're gonna put a little butter. Why the butter and olive oil combo? Well, butter is great flavor, but the olive oil can handle the heat, and since we're doing a little bit of a long saute on this, we're gonna need it to balance out. Let's see here. One big onion, a couple cloves of garlic, and watch out that that heat doesn't go too fast. Now on this, and I talk a lot about with onions, you know, I'm gonna be doing a white onion for this, but my favorite is really the red onion. Now, one of the pieces, when we start peeling off the onion like this, you see you get that outer skin or you get the ends of the onion. Take the time and really make sure that you're just getting the center because it gets really tough and you'll find that one piece that, you know, never breaks down. That's why I like to really cut it clean and peel off as much of the outer layer as I need to where it's really nice and tender. Now, give this just kind of like a 1/4 inch chop. These can go down. I'm putting these in early like this because it was starting to brown a little bit. You can hear it, it's starting to get hot and starting to pop a bit. When you put something into the pan, it's gonna cool it down. There we go. I'm not gonna put really a big, deep, rich saute on these. What I'm gonna kind of do is let them saute till they're like translucent, but we're gonna be adding the potatoes in there in a second before they can actually brown too much. Okay. There we go. Now the Eva potatoes, that goes down. Move these around a bit. That water's boiling, just begging for the green beans. Let me hit a little bit of garlic in this. I don't have to really mince the garlic. Just a little bit of a chop will be fine because it's going to spend enough time in there to really bring out the flavors. In. Okay. Pop in a little bit of salt here. Here's the piece I need to work on now. I got 4 potatoes, and what's going to happen is I'm going to kind of box cut them. And I'll show you what I mean. Edge, edge, like this. Hit them with a peeler, take off the dark sides, all the skin there. Now you could peel them ahead of time if you want, but since a lot of those pieces aren't going to be getting used, okay, like that. Since a lot of them aren't going to get used, I cut them first, and then just come through here and do about a 1/4 inch slice. And what I'm going to do is nestle these in, kind of put them a little bit on a slant like that, nice and pretty. Go in on this side, do the same thing. Now we're going to steam, poach, saute, if you want to call it, inside of this pan with some chicken stock and some white wine. So I'll deglaze with the white wine here in a second. And I learned how to do these potatoes. Funny thing about these, I learned how to do these potatoes when I was in college. We kind of would do them a lot for banquet service. And I never knew how they made them. I just would go home and try to make my own style. So this is kind of my own rendition. And I named it after Matt's wife, Eva. So I thought we'd put the whole Pintor family for dinner tonight. Okay, there we go. Let me hit this with a little bit of salt on top. Cracked black. And then for a little bit of color, because we got a lot of the same color in there, I'm going to hit it just with a touch of paprika. There we go. Right on top of there. Not the super hot paprika, we're not talking the Hungarian, just for a little color and a little smokiness. Okay. There we go, clapping for myself. Deglaze a little Sonoma County's finest, little white wine. Try to get that low sodium chicken stock if you can. Then you get to add the salt like you want to. Sometimes you get the chicken stocks have so much salt in them. So there, we're gonna cover this up. Let it go for like 20 to 30 minutes until the potatoes are nice and tender. How about sweet potato gnocchi in a Parmesan butter sauce? So, great thing about sweet potatoes is, well, people get them mixed up all the time. Is it a yam? Is it a sweet potato? Well, we're talking about the sweet potato, a little less starchy than the yam. So the idea here is cook these off ahead of time, or maybe you have some left over. We're gonna get them cool to the touch, just to where we can kind of handle them a little bit. Poke some holes in them, roasted them off in the oven, just the normal way you'd cook them. And look at that. Look at that beautiful color. Huh? We'll take this into the bowl. Some grated parm, maybe about a cup. A little olive oil, a couple tablespoons of that. Little brown sugar. I know that we have the sweetness of the sweet potato going on, but a little brown sugar will go a long way. A little salt and pepper. There we go. And here's where we really start adding the subtle flavor, but the flavor that everybody will go like, why? Why does this gnocchi taste so fantastic? It's this. We're gonna use a little thyme, a little fresh thyme. So a little bit of thyme. And last but not least, say holidays, what do you think? You think nothing. Okay, lock that down. Let that slowly whip together there for a second. Turn it up. We're gonna really let that fluff up. We're really gonna put a lot of air into that and aerate. It's gonna be nice and, that'll help it get nice and creamy. Because remember, on a gnocchi, you don't want those dense little hard pillows. You want to be nice, light, and fluffy. Now this right here looks like pumpkin pie filling, just in the savory sense. Bring this off. Get a little bench flour here. Now I was gonna be using maybe up to 2 cups of flour for this, but we're really gonna be looking for what the texture of this is gonna look like. Want it to be a little bit pliable. Seems like a little now, but there's a ton of flavor in that. And again, just the opportunity to repurpose that sweet potato. Could have been left over. You know how you have the big Thanksgiving party the night before? Well, the great thing is you could cook off those sweet potatoes, had them done and ready to go. Just one less thing that you have to cook on the actual big turkey day. Okay. There we go. Get a little more flour right up on top of that. Lightly start putting it together. Oh, this is perfect. Making gnocchi, it takes a lot of time. Well, it doesn't take a lot of time. It takes patience because you're working with something really super delicate. So what I've got here is some sweet potatoes I cooked ahead of time, made this fantastic little mixture with a little bit of thyme, a lot of Parmesan cheese, and some olive oil. And now I'm just lightly kneading in the flour. It's not an exact science because I don't know how many sweet potatoes I'm gonna have and how wet they're going to be. So I'm just working them enough just to where they're not tacky. And I'm gonna be able to start to roll them out to make those little dumplings. Okay, this, a touch of flour inside the bowl, pick that up, let it just rest here for just maybe about 30 minutes. So I took the sweet potatoes, kneaded it in a little bit of flour, and then I let it rest there in a floured bowl. Now, cut off a manageable piece, a little bit of flour, and what we're looking for, let me just kind of show you the doughiness is. It's kind of tender like a pillow, not dense, not hard. For the size that it is, it's really kind of nice and light. Kind of feels like it might be a pastry. So I'm just gonna lightly roll this out. There we go. A little bit more manageable piece to work with. Uniform size, so they cook equally, okay? And we'll just knock off little 1-inch pieces. There we go. About a tablespoon of salt to a gallon of water, remember that? And you definitely need it with the gnocchi. Start dropping these little dumplings down. When they float, they're gonna be done. We're gonna work them in batches, pull them out, let them cool. It's all coming together. That's how I want them done. Beautiful gnocchi, sweet potato gnocchi with a little bit of thyme and Parmesan cheese, all coming together for the traditional, untraditional items that we make here at the Fieri house or at the ranch for Thanksgiving. Now look at those. A little bit of salt water, took the sweet potato, mixed up the Parmesan cheese, gonna let these rest for just a second. Over here, I've got a little brown butter. So what I did is I started a pan, I'm gonna fire it back up now, started a cold pan, dropped the butter in there, and then slowly let it brown. If you drop the butter into a hot pan, automatically starts to brown, automatically starts to turn on you, and then you're chasing it down. So this right here, I've got it rendered down. I got a bunch of heat on it. Get it right to the brown butter look that I'm looking for. Just get nice and golden. Okay? Gets that little nuttiness to it. Now we'll go ahead, drop this in. And just giving these a chance to cool down a little bit, just to dry off a touch. The thyme in there. And all we're gonna do is just coat this a little bit. I gotta grab some Parmesan cheese. Okay, let that coat up a little bit. A little more heat on that braising liquid. A little parm on top of that, and that's all she wrote. They're already nice and warm. Okay. First, that little pillow. Sweet potato. Melt in your mouth. Light, super flavorful, fresh thyme. That's the kicker. And right, a little bit of Parmesan cheese for the saltiness. With the Brandade, a creamy salt cod and potato spread I'm serving up with grilled sourdough toast. First thing is I took the salted cod, soaked it for about 24 hours, but I wanted to show you what this bad boy looks like. I mean, look at that. That is like cod jerky, super salty. We'll get into that in a second. Right now, potatoes. So we're gonna take these potatoes, roast them off in the oven. Then we're gonna take the salted cod that's had a chance to soak for about 24 hours, and we're gonna get ourselves into making a little bit with a little cream, and we're gonna put it all together and make it, it really makes like a spread, and we'll hit it on some toasted sourdough points. Oh, outrageous. Just a touch of olive oil. There's gonna be a lot of flavor there, so I don't have to hit it with a bunch of salt, but we will hit some pepper. Mix that up together, into the oven, 20 minutes till they brown up, and they'll mash into this fantastic, okay? There we go. Bacala, okay? Bacala. You'll see it in markets. Now that you've seen it on the show, you're like, wow, that's some funky stuff. I never knew what to do with it. Well, this is what you do. So we'll fire up a little bit of heat, drop some oil. Let's pull out a nice big chunk. Whoa. Soaked it in water for about 24 hours. It's still gonna be a little salty right now. Just, I'm warning you. It's a little bit on the tough side, but you gotta think, back in the day, this fisherman comes in, he's got all of this cod, he's selling it off like hotcakes, or like cold cod, he's selling it off, and then what do you do with it? Well, different regions had different ways of taking care of food. I mean, in the United States, we made beef jerky, we smoked things a lot, we cured the bacon, but the whole point is, you had to preserve it, and this was one of the greatest ways. So, hot pan, we're gonna drop that in there. There we go. Let me get this other piece in there too. Okay, there we go. Now, we're not really sauteing this. We're gonna hit it with some heavy cream right off the bat. Now, what would go really nice with this? Exactly, some garlic, but not just any garlic, because we're talking about subtleties and flavors, and we're really mixing a lot together. I roasted some garlic. Whenever I have time on a Sunday afternoon, I'm not doing much, and I see a bunch of garlic sitting there all roasted. I mean, this is just great. You could heat this back up, and it's a great little smear for toast points by itself. So we hit in some roasted garlic. Now, one of my favorite herbs, little fresh thyme. You can tie this up if you want. I'm just gonna drop it in, but I'm gonna fish it out here in a little bit, okay? Now, let's hit it with a little white pepper. Just a touch. There we go. And I'm just gonna sit here and let this simmer for a little bit. So we'll just let this work. I got potatoes for this fantastic brandade with the salted cod that's gonna, I don't have anything that rhymes, but it really sounded cool for a second. I was gonna rhyme that together. Throw those in. Those roasted off. We'll take that, we'll get the masher. Give it a quick little mash. These are nice and super soft, okay? The Yukon Golds are perfect for this. A red potato would also look nice. I leave the skins on. I'm going rustic with it. There you go, okay. Let me get out the thyme. I dropped some fresh thyme in there. I didn't tie it up, but that's it, I could find it. So what do we have in here? We've got the salted cod, we've got the roasted garlic, we've got the heavy cream. Drop all that in. You know what it needs though? We need a little acid in this as well. So let's get a little acid here. Another lemon. These are so soft. Got the seeds. Okay. Little lemon juice in there. I'll see where it's at. It might need a little bit more. We'll just kind of test it. The potatoes just tighten it up big time. I mean, they're the ones that really bring it together and make it this really nice spread. I could put it in the food processor, but then you lose the texture of the fish and then it just doesn't work. This will go great right on top of those bread points. So here is some parsley to go on top of the fantastic brandade right here. And that is where we got that salted cod with the potatoes all put together and a little bit of cream. The salted cod, which a lot of people be freaked out, you did what with the fish? It's salted, it's dried out, and you had to re-soak it in some water? Hey, trust me, that with the roasted Yukon Gold potatoes, all brought together with a little heavy cream, some roasted garlic. It's so rich. You're just looking for that glass of wine. You're sitting by the pool. Any time of the year, and that's the great thing about this salted cod. Any time of the year you want it, you got a super hearty and not super expensive meal. Now let's go to the potatoes. Now the potatoes, let's talk about these. I had them in here, I put them into a cold pot of water, added a little bit of salt, and I want to cook them about 3/4 of the way, and, oh, perfect. Wow, really hot. You see big bite, I burn my mouth all the time. I'm gonna strain them. Bring these up, shake them off, get that excess water off of there, because we want them to be dry when they go into that fat. Potatoes look dry enough that I can put them into the hot fat. Terms that I love to use, you know, dropping the potatoes into the hot fat. Now, look at this. Let's see how much fat I've got. Now, this is a pretty good bacon that I used, but how much oil do I really have? Do I have enough to fry and put a nice crisp on the potatoes? I think I'm gonna add a little bit more vegetable oil to it. But all that flavor down inside there, okay. And that'll give me enough so it can fry on one side and I'll be able to flip them over. So gently and carefully, test it first. Nice sizzle. And down. Aha. Now, you're saying fried potatoes and bacon, I dig it. But what else? What's gonna make it so great? We're gonna put some capers in there, we're gonna have a little Dijon. You wait till you see what goes on. You will never settle for regular old boiled cold potato salad again. Now, shopping. I need a couple things for this German potato salad. Some Dijon and some capers and some raisins, because it's gonna go with these chops in a second. So there we are. Little onion's gonna go into the salad. You gotta watch that heat, man. This thing just cranks. So nice to see a big pan like that. I don't see a bunch of steam. I see the steam that you see coming off there from its cooking, but so many times you'll cram everything. We go like, oh, put a 5th chop right there. It's not where you wanna go. Big chop on the onion. Put that in with the potatoes. And I'm only gonna kind of let them get, you know, just a little bit warm. Just kind of get some of that fat on them. Let them break up. I wanna see the color. I wanna get some of that texture. I wanna get some of that bite from the onion. A little bit of capers also. See if I can just shake a few out. There you go. And this is gonna add some nice saltiness to it, that brine on the capers. And then here's the piece where it all starts to come together. Well, how does it become potato salad, Guy? Well, the idea is I put a little of this Dijon in here. So what do I got? I got some Dijon, but you know what, before I do that, let me hit it with a little bit of the red wine vinegar. Kind of deglaze some of that flavor off the bottom. There we go, look at that. And you can see it start to pull off some of the flavor right off there. Starts to almost clean the pan for you. Now I'll make myself a little landing spot, add in about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and this is gonna make my vinaigrette right here for my potato salad. Okay. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'll kind of toss this. There we go. Back in with the bacon. And I'm gonna let this just sit here and hold warm because it is warm German potato salad. Fried German potato salad, Guy style. Potatoes with bacon, mustard, capers, caramelized onions. Can't you just smell it?
Sweet potato gratin. I know you've seen sweet potatoes done a bunch of ways. I'm not a big sweet potato casserole guy, and don't talk to me about marshmallows and brown sugar and all that. I'm not into it. But when you take sweet potatoes and put it with some onions and do what we're gonna do on the grill, we're gonna have the smokiness of the grill. We're gonna put a little char on it. We're gonna put it together with some half and half and a little bit of time. You wait, you're gonna love these. So I peeled the sweet potatoes, real fun task. I'm cutting them, don't worry about that one, you gotta offer one up. Take the ends off, try to get uniform size. We'll hit them with a little bit of salt, pepper, and olive oil and go to the grill. Started it with charcoal, got some nice oak on there. There we go. Okay, so those are all done. Let me grab a sheet tray. Slide them onto a sheet tray. We'll hit a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, and then we'll talk about what's gonna ride shotgun on this gratin dish. How about, exactly, some sweet onions. Vidalia onions to be exact. So grab a couple Vidalia. There we go. Some olive oil drizzle, fresh cracked black pepper, and some salt. I got dogs barking in the backyard, hanging out in my back. Listen, this is my favorite time. Chilling back here, kids aren't running around, pool's not going nuts, dogs aren't begging, somebody's dog's barking, and I'm cooking and you're hanging, good deal. Okay, we move this around, we'll go down with the onions here. Having that type of grill where you can take small onions or potatoes that would normally fall through the grates and where you can get that radiant heat and you can get some of that smoke flavor coming through, just takes a regular gratin to the next level. So now we're gonna make the half and half mixture that we're gonna pour over this gratin. So we're gonna kind of partially cook the potatoes here. Not all the way, they're still gonna have to go in the oven. But what we're gonna do, we'll get a couple cups of half and half in there. You know what makes my mouth water also? Horseradish. Talk about bringing up the flavor. I don't know, 4 tablespoons in here. I don't think you could do too much in this. And there we go. Awesome. Now we'll get a little bit of thyme in there. They can just fall right in. They're gonna steep a little bit in this half and half. Okay. There, little S&P. This is sweet potatoes that have gone savory. The thyme in the half and half, the horseradish. Harvest these off. I got some Vidalia onions, and I'm looking for that. I want that color. I don't want boring gratin that just kind of looks like it's just, you know, it's just been sitting there simmering in milk. Okay, we'll bring that off. So the gratin was 3 layers. I layered it with the Gruyere. Then you put the sweet potato, and then you put the caramelized onions, and then you repeat that 3 times. Perfect. And then you put some more of the cheese on top. This is where it all comes together as we pour this right on top. Horseradish, thyme. You see that horseradish coming out right there? Kind of move that around a little bit. That horseradish spread out. That's just gonna soak right down into it. Fantastic. Now, we'll do that. Throw some foil on it. The wood-fired oven's rocking right around, I don't know, 350, maybe 400. 350 is what we're looking for, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. And we'll let this go for about 30 minutes. I put it on the sheet tray just in case we get a little bit of a bubble over. I don't want it burning the deck of the oven. It definitely changes the flavor of pizza. But if you have a regular conventional oven, 350, do the tray idea. It'll save you from having to do the cleanup, okay? In we go. Aha. Gonna be hot. But look at that bubbling madness. Sweet potatoes done in this real savory style. No brown sugar marshmallows on this. Are you kidding me? Oh, that is outrageous. Okay, so now what I need to do, slide it back in, let it brown on top a little bit, but it is going good. Sweet potato onion gratin, baked with thyme, horseradish, and Gruyere cheese until bubbly. I mean, these flavors are on point. I've got some leeks that I'm gonna be sauteing here in a second with some cremini mushrooms, but I'll show you this little leek technique. Remember, when the leek grows, it's growing up like this, so the opportunity for sand and dirt and everything to fall down into those crevices is really happening. So what we wanna do is I cut mine, makes it a little bit easier to clean, and then I'll just give them a quick little chop, drop them into the water. I can swirl them around with my hand and just kind of wash them like that, or rinse them, I should say. Some people leave the rounds together, but what I find is that if the rounds don't get completely broken apart, you have a chance of getting yourself some sand and some dirt into it. So this is all gonna come together. Well, I'll just do it with my hand. This is all gonna come together for a fantastic stuffed potato skin. And actually, I gotta drop some of the potato skin, so let this settle down here for a second. Some baked potatoes, just left with about a 1/4 inch interior right there. Salted them before I roasted them. And we'll drop them in 350-degree oil. And yes, I want these to almost get like a hollowed out French fry, okay? Almost potato chip like, because we're gonna be throwing in some brie cheese, prosciutto, and some mushrooms and all that. Drop these in. Set this aside. Creminis, my favorite. I'm telling you, one of my favorite mushrooms. I can't say it's absolutely my favorite, but it definitely is one of the best. Really nice and meaty. Lots of really defined mushroom flavor, and we're gonna cook these down with these leeks. It'll work out perfect. Okay. Bring it right over. Drop these in, and you know what this needs here is just a little touch of thyme. I got some fresh thyme standing by. That's all gonna cook down together. Throw a little more heat on it, and all the thyme comes out together, and just the leaves of the thyme, okay? I know this seems a little bit more refined than you're thinking game day food. Now, the skins, like I said, you have leftover potatoes. What are you gonna do with them? Well, we're gonna put a little bit of mushroom mixture in there with the leeks, okay? So we'll crumble a little brie in there, and then what would be the next thought? Okay, yeah, prosciutto. There's gonna be some Italian cold cuts for sure, so look at this. There you go. Some nice prosciutto, thinly sliced. We'll just tear off a few pieces, lay it right up on top. That'll get nice and crusty, kind of like bacon. So I'll knock these out, fill them up, pop them in the oven, let them melt one more time. Whoa, coming over hot. Look at those bad boys, huh? That's potato skins like you've never seen before. Cook these potatoes, scooped them out, deep fried them, filled them with some cremini mushrooms and some leeks, then a little brie, of course. But look at this, mushrooms, brie, prosciutto. A little kiss of the leeks in there. Chives on top. Game day. Looks like wedding food, isn't it? Tell me that's not a beautiful sight. Big, huge chunks of bacon with all this rendered fat sitting down in here. Gonna make this an outstanding baked potato soup. Oh yeah, bacon flavor in and chunks of bacon on top. And this is all in my tribute to Louisville. Getting the lardones of bacon out. Applewood smoked bacon, use the kind you like. I just like the thick bacon. Off to the side, heat's coming up nice. This time I'm actually gonna use a measuring cup. Not because it's necessary, just because I hate getting the flour out of my bling. About a 1/2 cup of some flour into that bacon fat. Okay. Give this a little stir. We do want to make sure that we cook all that flour flavor out of there. Okay. Looks like I've got a good look there. Okay. Now in with some warm milk, nice and easy. See how that starts to foam up like that? Just want to get it nice and easy, and not let that flour turn into dumplings. We're almost at the glory moment here. Taking this roasted
potatoes, or these baked potatoes, not all the way baked yet. They're still a little firm, but that's fine because they're gonna cook out in this soup. Keeping the skins from going in, okay? There we go, get the rest of these in. Skins are off, nice and firm. Look at that, awesome. I think I'm gonna go with the white sharp cheddar into this. About a cup. Give this a stir. Also, salt, cracked black pepper, and yes, the bacon. The bacon shall go. I'm gonna put in about 2/3 of it and reserve the rest to be able to crumble up on top, along with some Parmesan cheese. So stir that in. Nice. All right. Give it a taste. Look at that. It's like a cross between fondue and baked potato at this point. One touch of some salt. I cooked the bacon, saved the bacon fat, the rendering's in there, add a little flour to it, hit in some chicken stock, hit in some milk, then come back in with some potato that I cooked down, then back in with the bacon that was there. That all comes together. Now I get to top it off. Some of the bacon we used. A little cheddar cheese. We're gonna get fancy on this one, folks. We hit a little sour cream. Chives over the top. It doesn't look like a baked potato in a bowl, but this is gonna be easy because it's already pureed together. You don't have to sit there and mix it inside the potato skin. Look at that. The sour cream, right at the end, that cool, a little bit of that acid coming through.
Double fried French fries, that's what. The right potato, the right cooking method, and you've got the crispiest, fluffiest fry around.
Reminds me of my days of peeling potatoes. Did something bad in the kitchen, you're the one that got to peel them all. Okay, but this is worth it because this is going for some dynamite fries. Actually, I call them double cut fries. What happens is I take the skin off the center here, leave a little bit on the ends, cut these bad boys down. I'll make a little area that I can balance my potato off, taking a piece off the back, then slicing it about 3/8 of an inch all the way through. Stack up just a couple pieces. Don't want to manage too many of them sliding around on each other. Give it an equal cut on that side. And there you go. Almost a perfect looking fry. Check that out. Okay? So we pop these into some water, leach out some of that starch. So we should be running right around 320, 315 to around 330. We're good. And I got some oil going that I'm going to throw these fries into. I'm going to do a double fry, as I called it. Oil and water scare me. Okay, let me get some towels. Now what happens here is the first time I cook these, I'm really just kind of cooking the potato. I'm not really going for a browning. That's what's kind of misunderstood, I think, when people are making French fries at home. They think, well, I'll just take the fries and I'll just throw them in there. And, well, they turn brown, so they're done. And then they're kind of soft in the middle. It's kind of like baked potato-y in the middle. And the idea that we're looking for is it takes a lot to cook a French fry and pull that moisture out to get the crisp. They may look nice and brown on the outside, but they're gonna be a little bit soggy. This is how you're gonna fight that. So, take this here, put them down. Don't wanna put water into that if we don't have to. Shake some off, okay? Give them a little dry. Somewhat dry. Okay? Now, we're gonna go and throw them in, kind of cook them through. We'll pull them out, let them cool down, and then we'll fry them again, and that's when the crunch will go on. So watch your hands. And this temperature's a little bit lower. We're gonna be up into the 350, 360 range when we do the potatoes for the crunch. Now, don't overload this, because one of the things we wanna remember is about the temperature. What temperature is this recovering to? You know, if you put too many things into your oil, or if your vessel that you got your oil in can't retain its own heat, well, it drops down, and that's when things kind of get soggy and real oily tasting. Okay, there we go. Let those bad boys hang out. Now, the fries, well, I've cooked them to where they're done. So that's a cooked potato. Now what? I've let them cool. Now what I'm gonna do is take the potatoes, put them back into the oil. The oil temperatures come back. It's what we call recovered. So now I'm gonna take them, throw them back in at 350. There we go. In small batches, not too much. Throw them back in at 350. This is where that nice golden crunch is gonna come in. These are just about done. Now, these are the twice fry on the potato. Remember, I cut some russets, took the skins off the side, left them on the end so they look, you know, kind of restaurant style. Got these bad boys, fried them once, let them cool down, then fried them again, and that's where the crunch comes from. Shut down the thermal reactor right there. Hit a little salt while they're hot so the salt kind of melts right into them. And then just shake them onto that platter. Haha. This is a big game day feed here.